Welcome to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe, Kyle, and Ray. Be warned, the discussions in this podcast will contain detailed spoilers. Enter at your own risk and enjoy the show. Listen to me. I do movie reviews all over the nation, and with the exception of Cleveland, this podcast has the worst reviews in the nation. Now, I suggest you guys call your wives because we're going to be here all night. We're going to review every single Beverly Hills Cop movie in this series, starting with this one right here. And this is episode number 195, and in this episode, we get right to it. We're going to tackle the entire Beverly Hills Cop series, starting with the original 1984's Beverly Hills Cop.
Joseph, is that you? He said it wasn't him. I said it's Joe. What's with all the hostility, man? You've changed, Joe.
What were you doing in California anyway?
I was working.
Working where?
Beverly Hills.
Hey, Mikey.
Oh, you don't mind if I ask around a little bit, do you?
Don't do a damn thing. Stay out of this.
You know, this is the cleanest and nicest police car I've ever been in my life. This thing's nice in my apartment.
After a childhood buddy is murdered while visiting Detroit, rebellious cop Axel Foley follows the leads to Beverly Hills, where he checks in with an old friend, Jenny Summers, and starts to believe that her boss, art dealer Victor Maitland, might somehow be involved in his murder. Axel teams up with two reluctant detectives from the Beverly Hills police force, but Foley's complete disregard for proper procedure and his rule-bending methods land him in even deeper trouble. Written by Daniel Petrie Jr. and directed by Martin Brest, 1984's Beverly Hills Cop.
What a flop. Jesus Christ. No, this is an excellent movie.
Yeah, strap in for another gush fest, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely.
We love this movie.
Yeah, I kind of had the same thought. I said, this is going to be another tough one, because, again, we're not going to have a single bad thing to say about this film, but we can give it a shot.
I can't believe that this didn't make... And I was thinking about it the whole time I was watching. It didn't make any of our most quotable films, because I feel like I quote this movie all the time. There's a lot of good stuff here.
There is, but it's kind of oddly specific quotes. Like, it's like I'm specifically referencing this movie for a reason. I don't see it coming up in common conversation as much as some of the other stuff. Yeah.
Probably not. You don't go around telling people you have herpes simplex tan?
You might not, but...
I just got off the phone with Inspector Todd in Detroit. He says if you're out here investigating the Tandino murder...
How you doing?
You needn't bother coming back.
You haven't the slightest idea who you're dealing with.
Look, all three of us are cops. We should be working together.
Yeah, I mean, this one, I hate to... It's like, am I going to be that guy to start off this way? But, you know, they just don't make them like this anymore. You know, it's so heartbreaking to think, like, you know, they really don't do original things like this anymore. And just what a great original concept. And it just, everything, it's one of those things where everything just falls in place perfectly. You know?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, you're catching Eddie Murphy when he's still kind of an up-and-comer at this point. You know, he's reasonably established, but I think this is his first kind of lead role. I mean, the only other thing that I remember him in, I mean, at this point, he's done Trading Places, he's done 48 Hours, but I feel like this is the first time he's carrying the film solo, you know?
Yeah.
And I think in that respect, I mean, he's still this is still very early in his career, but they kind of got him just at the right time.
It's only 2 years after 48 Hours, another buddy cop type movie. Mm-hmm. So, and it's a complete contrast to that movie. You know, it's a comedy.
This time his name appears above the title. It's Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop, not 48 Hours starring Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy. I mean, he is the selling point first.
Yeah. Interestingly, when they go back and do a second 48 hours, how they switched the names on the marquee there,
Isn't that funny?
you know, at first it was Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy. Then it became Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte.
It's interesting how that works. And this is Eddie Murphy in his prime. I don't know. I mean, he did have that run, 48 Hours, Trading Places, Beverly Hills Cop, where he was just on top of the world and everything he made was solid gold.
I think everything afterwards was too. I mean, The Golden Child is still
Golden
one of my
Child's
favorite
good.
movies.
Yep.
And then you had Coming to America, another 2 years later too.
His streak it's just sort of starting out. I mean, again, this is kind of it's his early days. It's like watching the early like Belushi movies. You know what I mean? Like he's really kind of just doing his thing. People are getting to know what makes him tick, why he's funny. Like that's what this is. They grab him and they know what makes him shine, and they really cultivated this script and this story around his talents. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for my money, this is like a perfect Eddie Murphy vehicle, and I almost hate to use that word vehicle, but it fits here. Like they really knew how to tap his particular strengths.
But what's really interesting is this movie was not written for Eddie Murphy.
That's right.
They altered it a little bit once Eddie Murphy was cast. But this movie was written for, wait for it, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And that would have been a very, very different film.
Oh, wait. I heard, you sure he didn't mean Stallone?
Oh, it might have been Stallone.
Yeah, Stallone. I think it was Stallone was the guy. Yeah,
either
right.
way.
Yes. Yeah, in fact, the way I've always heard it was that Stallone, he had this first, and he was trying to tailor it to be basically a little more like Cobra, which is sort of why he goes off later and does Cobra, because that was the cop movie he was trying to make. And again, I love Cobra for what it is, but thank Jesus that that we got what we got here, because I don't think that would have worked. I mean, that would have been an action movie, but this is an action comedy, and it's a gold action comedy.
And I like Cobra, but I love this movie. I mean, this movie is easily in my top 20. I might make top 10, depending upon what kind of mood I'm in, but it's definitely top 20. I love this film.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's funny, Joe, you were saying like, how you can't, it was a different time and all that. It kind of reminds me of like Mel Brooks style comedy where they just got away with things that you just can't anymore. Like Eddie Murphy playing the race card, for his benefit, for his scams, like at the hotel and things like that. And the stereotypical, like, hood black dude at the, selling the cigarettes, the way he talks and everything, that like, just that style. Like, I don't think you could do that nowadays. It's right up there with like the Tropic Thunder style thing.
But it shows us what a good bullshit artist he is and how he's able to parlay that into a career as a really brilliant detective. He could just improvise and create these characters when he's working undercover, or he can bullshit his way into a situation where he needs to investigate and get people to show him things and open up. He's really good at that. And I enjoy watching him just riff. And it works for his character. It's funny, but it also portrays him as a really very gifted detective.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I couldn't agree more. And honestly, I think, there's other films that sort of do something similar. Like, for example, a movie that I like a lot, and I'm not going to use this to pick on it at all, because I like that movie, Fletch with Chevy Chase.
Mm-hmm.
Fletch is kind of like Chevy Chase's Beverly Hills Cop. There's a lot of similarities. But when you watch Fletch, you see him trying to do like these characters, like it's kind of a little more of a production for him to do the character. I feel like Eddie Murphy, it's like it flows so much more naturally, like he just, like somebody says something to him, he turns his head and boom, he's doing this voice, and it kind of works. You know what I mean? He doesn't matter how he's dressed. He doesn't have to wear a wig or something stupid. Like he just turns into this other guy, and it's kind of amazing to watch.
That's right. Fletch puts on disguises. Eddie Murphy just changes his cadence and his posture, and immediately he's a different character.
Perfect example. We were talking about it just before we started recording when he goes into the restaurant, the members only club, looking for Victor Maitland, and they're like, "Excuse me, you know that this is a members only club." He's yes, and breaks into Ramon doing the herpes 10, which is one of my favorite scenes. It's fucking hysterical. I nearly cry every time I watch that scene.
I think the first time you see that too, it just sort of comes from left field too, and it's just so good.
Well, they do that a lot in this movie. I mean, in a movie called Beverly Hills Cop, the very opening shot is a setting that is clearly not Beverly Hills, and we're given this montage with the title Beverly Hills juxtaposed over it of Detroit. Like they tried to make the exact opposite. So this movie does that a lot, where it will just kind of like flip what we expect to see and turn it into a little bit of a joke.
Interestingly too, it was funny because as I was sort of refreshing my memory of the film, and I popped on some of the trailers, and I noticed like the big opening truck scene, the action scene with the truck and all the cop cars. I kept seeing that at the end of the trailers, and it kind of made me think like, oh yeah, like this. There's not a lot of what we would call action scenes in this movie. I mean, there's great action, there's great shootouts, there's great suspense, all that kind of stuff. But this is not what you would call a typical action movie. It was much more about him, about the characters, about the mystery he's uncovering. It's really a very story-driven film. And Eddie Murphy is kind of like the icing on the cake, really. He's his perfect performance is just added to what is a great story. I mean, it's hard to imagine when you think about it. I mean, given that we know that the script had a couple different iterations tailored to different actors. I mean, I think when it was at one point a Stallone vehicle, obviously there's the elements or the little accents here and there were probably much different, but the basic story is the same. So you really have to admire the writers to, be able to like keep that perfect story so intact. Like I feel like today we get so many movies where there's 5 or 6 writers on it. All of them kind of doing different things, and what you end up with is this kind of weird hodgepodge of different elements. But here, the story works. The story, it's as if this was the first, like it just works so perfectly. I can't imagine that this went through, drafts and versions, etc. If that makes sense.
It's a very simple, tight story. I mean, this plot runs like a Swiss watch. There's really nothing that you can poke a hole at. It's a simple tale. Guy's friend gets murdered, seeks revenge, and uncovers a criminal conspiracy. And it's not a very complicated criminal conspiracy. It's just cocaine smuggling. So there's really nothing to pull apart here, and the movie is stronger for it, because that's not really why we're watching. We're not watching this for a twisty, turny, plot twist, M. Night Shyamalan kind of movie. We're watching this to see Eddie Murphy do Eddie Murphy stuff, and then a big epic gunfight. That's really why we're watching this movie.
Right. And it kind of makes you feel that to me, it shines a spotlight on the fact that I think today people really overcomplicate storytelling. I mean, the basic, like you said, the basic plot is there, and it allows you to play around and have different interactions and scenes and things like that to accent the story. If the story works, then you should be able to have a lot of playroom around it.
And you do. I mean, it's like you guys said, it's very linear, start to finish. Here's what we're working with. He's solving a crime, his friend's murder, and it's just driven by him and his comedy throughout the film, along with his detective work, and you get a little bit of action in between, but it just works in its simplicity.
I will say that for a movie that's about a detective, there isn't a whole lot of detection. Like I shouldn't say that, because Axel does uncover things as the story moves along. But as far as the audience is concerned, we know right away who the bad guys are. I mean, we see Zach kill Mikey in the beginning, and then the very first suspect that Axel encounters is Victor Maitland, and Zach is sitting right there in his office. So there's absolutely no question who the villain is. That he's up to some evil stuff. We don't know what that is, but it's not really a mystery that unfolds for the viewer. We just watch Axel figure it out, put those pieces together as he goes along.
Yeah, and that is an interesting point. They definitely, I mean, the second he walks into the baddie's office, that guy is sitting there, that same guy.
Right.
So, right, it does sort of it's not like we're trying to crack the code exactly. It's a matter of it's watching Eddie Murphy put pieces together.
Yeah, we're watching him get his man however he can, but he's out of his element. This isn't Detroit. This is LA. He has to play by the book here. But he's trying to bring all those elements of, the streetwise cop as opposed to the prim and proper that he's dealing with there in LA.
Yeah, and that wonderful thing is so great. I mean, again, so the characters are so well written. I mean, basically, if you think about it, Detroit is sort of its own character, and Beverly Hills it's its own character, because it's like when Eddie Murphy goes to Beverly Hills, all the guys are playing it by the book and just kind of doing their job and calling it a day, as opposed to Eddie Murphy, who has to kind of rely much more on instincts and things like that, and hunches and things to get sort of the job done. You don't have all the luxuries that the Beverly Hills Cop guys do. So him bringing those instincts to Beverly Hills, that's chef's kiss. It works so perfectly.
In the little tiny bit of backstory we get about Axel Foley, we kind of see or hear about how he learned those skills. I mean, this is a kid who grew up on the streets, stealing cars and pulling scams and things like that. And he uses that and turn that into a legit career as a detective because he has those streetwise skills and the bullshittery that he's able to do to improvise his way into solving crimes. He did not go to the same police academy that Bogomil, Taggart, and Rosemont did.
Yeah.
Cover me.
Police! You're all under arrest!
You do that again, I'll shoot you myself.
Now, please something to drink, a wine, a cocktail, espresso.
No, I'm fine, thank you.
I'll make it myself right back there with a little lemon twist. It's good. You should try it.
What do we think about those guys? What do we think about Taggart and Rosewood and the supporting cast?
Oh, man. I love the chemistry between Rosewood and Taggart. It's just hysterical. I mean, like the whole sitting in the car on the stakeout, like, yeah, the average American eats this much red meat. Like,
right.
You eat a lot of red meat. Like just the banter between the two, you could tell that they've been together a while, and I'd have a feeling at the beginning of their career together that Rosewood drove Taggart nuts, but he just adapted over time, and now they're buddies. And then you just throw in the wrench that is Axel Foley into the mix, and it's gold.
Yeah. I could easily watch a spinoff of just these two, like a TV series, like a Simon and Simon kind of thing, with just Taggart and Rosewood going around getting into scraps and solving crimes as this like oddball duo. I think that'd be gold.
That's so true. Honestly, it's funny when you say it that way. That actually would have worked, a TV show with those two guys.
I think it would have been a hit.
I think I'd like to see this spin-off of Surge.
I'm fine. My name is Serge, and how can I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for Miss Jenny Summers.
He could be like the Q character, like the support person.
Here's one that I kind of, it's not a detriment at all, but I kind of feel like if there's one player in this film that's not quite the home run as all of them, It's the Jenny Summers character, Lisa Eilbacher.
Let's get into it because I
I
feel the same way.
really, and again, not that she's bad. I feel like
No.
that this is kind of very much the kind of role that a lot of actresses could have played fine. You know what I mean? It's not like it's demanding or anything. Just kind of she was just sort of an interesting choice to me. I remember when this film came out, I can't remember, but I remember seeing her in a lot of like television. I even think there was some children's show that I remembered her from. I can't for the life of me remember what it was because it's probably long forgotten, whatever. But so yeah, when she showed up, she kind of almost seemed like a very sort of C-list, TV actress, whereas all of the other people in the film were very much, movie stars, and all of them kind of just perfectly cast. And she just kind of felt like, and plus I remember thinking like her and Eddie Murphy grew up together. Eddie Murphy already kind of established that he was kind of hanging with the bad boys and getting into trouble, stealing cars and doing silly stuff like that. The buddy that he hooks up with, he's still trouble, so you see this past. Then all of a sudden this like girl, the JV cheerleader, shows up and it's like, that feels a little weird, doesn't it?
That's the part that didn't ring true for me either. I don't see these two people. I mean, people do grow and they do change and they do learn new things and take on new jobs, but I don't see these two people being childhood pals. She seems very proper or very like mainstream, very safe. Whereas Axel Foley is a street kid. He's a tough guy,
Yeah.
scammer, bullshit artist. Would they have been friends as children? I'm not so sure. And the way she plays it, occasionally her performance throws off some mixed signals. Did she have the hots for Mikey at one point? Does she have the hots for Axel right now? I don't really know. I mean, it's hard for me to tell. Like, are these characters friends? If so, why? Is there like any sort of sexual tension by having her? And I think a lesser movie would have made her like the conquest that he gets at the end. And this is not that kind of movie, and it doesn't have to go that way. And I'm glad that it doesn't. But the actress's performance is a little uneven for me.
I didn't pick any of that up at all. I kind of figured like she just, Axel stayed in Detroit. She moved out at some point and just made a name for herself in the art world. So I didn't pick that part up. I do kind of vaguely remember the whole thing with like the possible romance thing with like Mikey and all. But other than that, no. I just figured she got out early and just kind of became a thing in L.A.
And it's possible. I mean, people's environments do shape who they are, and she could have just been changed by Beverly Hills. But there's that one scene where she goes up to Axel's hotel room and just her body language while she's laying on Axel's bed. I'm like, what are you trying to do here, Lisa? Like, what are you trying to portray? I'm not 100% sure that was the right acting decision. Just the way she's sitting and the way she's angling her body tells me something that I don't think the movie is trying to tell me.
And it's right to your point. It's probably very easy to not catch any of that stuff because I mean she does fly under the radar for the most part in this film. It very much feels that this movie is about the other players in it, and it's almost like they needed somebody to be around for Axel to sort of bounce ideas off of and talk to sometimes. You need somebody to have this conversation with. But yeah, it's just again, she just seemed kind of oddly cast. And again, she looks like she's just kind of a Midwestern nice girl. And yeah, Kyle, to your point, I mean, the childhood friends. I almost feel like there probably should have been a couple lines in the film somewhere about why their paths went in such different directions if they really are childhood pals. Like when Axel and Mikey are talking about her early on, say, oh yeah, she's doing really good, she's a big shot, art dealer now. I feel like that, like just a little play up on that maybe would have made more sense.
I think you guys are nitpicking. I think you're nitpicking on this one.
Well, you have to in
right.
order to critique a movie that's so damn good. You
Yeah,
have to be a little
exactly.
nitpicky.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, again, it's a big leap from the streets of Detroit to being like a swanky living in Beverly Hills art dealer, unless there was some sort of reason why this happened. That's all I gotta say. But I will say too, by the way, this is probably the Empire Strikes Back of the Steven Berkoff 80s villain trilogy.
That's true.
I'm pretty sure this is number 2 of that series.
Did you ever notice that, and it's the same in Bond movies, villains are always driving black Mercedes saloons, and this is the second time,
right.
the second time that Steven Berkoff drives a black Mercedes saloon as the villain in an 80s action movie, because he drives one in Octopussy as well.
Oh,
but it just seems like the black Mercedes is like de facto coding, this guy's bad.
Right, yes, it's so true. I totally agree. Yeah.
Well, Kyle, since you brought up 007, I'm going to put this out there. I think the Beverly Hills Cop theme is as instantly recognizable as the 007 theme. As soon as that synthesizer kicks in, it's the Beverly Hills Cop theme. The same way that those instruments and the guitar riff for 007 hit. It's one of the most iconic themes. I'd put it up there with like The Godfather and stuff like that as well.
It is iconic. This movie has a phenomenal soundtrack, and not just the music composed for the movie, but all the songs that they use, like Glenn Frey, Patti LuPone. There's some really good stuff here.
I have to agree with that, Ray, wholeheartedly. In fact, I would even, honestly, if you tried to make a list of the film scores, like the theme, the melodies from from the theme, and how and like you hear it instantly and say, okay, who is this character? Who is this music about? I feel like this one easily in the top 5, and frankly, I'm hard pressed to think of the other 3.
Well, I think Indiana Jones has to be one. Bond, like Ray said. And probably the John Williams theme for Superman would be on my list. But this is certainly one of them.
Eddie Murphy is a Detroit cop on vacation in Beverly Hills.
I just got off the phone with an Inspector Todd in Detroit. He says if you're out here investigating the Tandino murder, you needn't bother coming back.
How about Bogomil? We haven't talked about him. What a bro! Like I love this character because he's a real cop, and like he believes in hunches and he believes in detective work. And when Axel comes to him with a theory, he even says like, "Forget what you can prove. Talk to me." Like cop to cop, but they actually do have some respect for each other. And as the movie continues, that respect grows and grows and grows, and then. Of course, in the sequel, that becomes a major plot point. But I really like watching this character and watching him just like, you think, this stiff Jobsworth guy is going to get in the way. And, ooh, he's such a by-the-book stickler. And by the end of it, you're like, hell yeah, Lieutenant. Like, you're my guy. I like watching that.
Yes.
I always enjoy him.
No, I completely agree. I mean, it all starts with Taggart punching Foley in the stomach, and then he gets called in the office. They have the conversation. He comes out. Do you want to press charges against this man? Oh, where I'm from, we don't do that. But then by the end of it, he's the LA version, or at least was before all the bureaucracy in LA or whatever. He was a Foley. He was that type. You get that vibe that he was that type of detective or that type of officer, rather.
Yes, I think you hit it on the head. I mean, the way that character arc happens throughout the film, where again it's like, hey, I'm by the book, and then I'm starting to warm up to your ideas on this. Then he's kind of sticking his neck out to the point, like the very end, he really puts his neck on the line to rescue Axel, and that's when you just like you're totally just you've completely warmed up to this character. He's totally won you over, etc. So yeah, just a perfect touch at the end there.
Yeah, he's a real one, and you could tell the way Ronnie Cox plays it. He just plays him like a seasoned veteran cop. What Axel could be if he wasn't such a wise ass. He could progress in his career and be a higher ranking detective as well.
Really, honestly, this goes to every single character in this is so well fleshed out. It's so great.
Every single one?
Well, except for
because I got another.
Oh, you do?
Oh,
Okay.
you have another one.
I do. So if the inciting incident of this movie is going to be Mikey's murder, I need to know more about Mikey, and I need to see a little bit more of that friendship. The whole plot is set in motion because my friend was killed. I have to go avenge my friend. Okay, we only see one scene of the two of them together, and other than some dialogue about how they have, remember when we did this, remember when we did that, I need a bonding moment. I need something to show like these guys have a relationship beyond we just went to school together and did some crazy stuff.
I don't see that. I think it was well established. They're just reminiscing. He's in town. He gets shit faced, goes to sleep on the couch or whatever. They're coming back to the Foley's apartment, and he gets killed. He gets knocked out. I don't. I think that was enough. I mean, we're establishing that they knew each other. They had a great. They were childhood friends and all that, and then he gets murdered.
It's a tight runtime, and I think almost a little too tight. I think they could have given us just another 5 minutes of backstory for Axel and Mikey if we have to emotionally invest ourselves into like, ooh, you want him to solve this murder and get those mean guys who killed his friend, but we've only known his friend for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna side with Ray on that one. I feel like it's a fair point, and it probably would not have taken much more. If I'm trying to think about how I would have fixed that problem, if there could have been something, oh, we were in the orphanage together and they used to pick on us, and this guy kicked somebody's ass for me and rescued me, so something like that.
That's all.
But yeah, I don't know that it really needed it, because see, it's funny. Your issue reminds me of my gripe with License to Kill, where Leiter gets killed and then Bond goes off on this thing of revenge. I kind of feel like for me it doesn't work because I know Bond too well, I know Leiter too well, I know these guys are not particularly good friends, and I've seen Bond every movie. He's got some sacrificial lamb who gets killed, and he doesn't take it very personally. For me, that's kind of why it doesn't work there. But I'm just sort of meeting Axel here for the first time, and I don't have any reason to think they're not good friends. So I guess that's why it wouldn't really occur to me to get hung up on that.
Well, and like Ray said, I am nitpicking a little bit because I adore this movie. So
Right.
I need to really dig to find things to criticize.
I don't want to take it anymore.
For a man who claims to be on vacation, you look a lot like you're on a stakeout.
Stakeout? No. I'm picnicking. This is like a picnic area. I have to ask you some questions about Michael Tandino.
I've got another nitpick if you want to talk about this one. It's a tiny little nitpick, but how does Zach track down Mikey? How did he know to go to Detroit? There needs to just be a little bit more of an explanation. Like, how did Mikey screw up and let Zach and Maitland's goons track him down? How'd they know where to look?
Who cares?
Yeah, fair point. Short runtime. The movie moves so quickly. We don't stop and think about those things.
He stole the bonds, the bearer bonds, and Maitland's going to put everybody out looking for him. Somebody recognized him, made a phone call. Boom.
All right.
I mean, that's a good question, but I kind of feel like it's one of those where I just, in the back of my mind, I assume could have literally just followed him, even for all I know.
How did Thomas Crown get that second painting?
That's
true. It's a movie.
Sometimes you just got to let things go, Kyle.
Fair point. Touche.
But it's funny though, when you say that, the thing that I hear from that is I've watched this movie a lot of times. I really
I've seen this movie more times than I can count. I didn't even need to rewatch it in order to review it with you guys, but I did anyway because I love it so much.
Same.
There was a time in like the mid to late 90s where just about every weekend you could find a cable station playing this movie, whether it was TBS, TNT, USA. Somebody was showing Beverly Hills Cop, and if there was nothing else on, I'll find the channel that's playing Beverly Hills Cop and watch it.
It's true.
Absolutely. I probably couldn't even take a guess how many times I've seen this movie.
I've never been to a cell that had a phone in it. Can I stay for a while? Because I ordered some pizza.
We have 6 witnesses that say you broke in and started tearing up the place, then jumped out the window.
May I help you?
Yeah. I'm looking for Victor Maitland.
Oh man, I didn't have one. I wrote like so many down on here. Between him being the at the hotel trying to check in, the Rolling Stones reporter. I can't quote it. I'm not allowed to do that.
Yeah. That's not. Just the whole thing about it, like Michael Jackson not being a.
I was going to call it Michael Jackson's on top of the world, really but instead. The art dealership with Serge, that whole conversation, the way the banter back and forth with the high pitched voices, like get the fuck out of here! It's fucking hysterical.
I just love he just says, "I am fine. My name is Serge." He does, and he never or Axel never asked him how he was doing. He just says it. That is great, and I wonder how much of that was scripted and how much of it was improv. But whatever it was, it works.
Yeah.
And when he calls for the other guy to come over, and he's like, "1 moment, please," and just like doesn't like picking up the phone, just looks over, "1 moment, please," and goes back to it.
I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, that is so perfect. And it's funny too, because it's one of those character scenes that you say to yourself, that guy's either a genius or that's just how he is in real life. You know what I mean? Because it just seemed like how would you think to put those lines together? I mean, it's so funny the way he does that, the weird, like the awkward pauses, when he just kind of like he just stopped, like for a second he'll just stop talking and be looking up and down Eddie Murphy, like, and you're going, why, like it really, that was a classic moment.
An incredibly indeterminate accent. He's not French,
right?
He's not German, he's not Italian, he's just Serge.
He is
exactly right. Yeah. Oh my god.
Perfect. He was in Perfect Strangers too. I vaguely remember that show from my childhood.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And True Romance. That's the other thing I know him from.
Oh, that's right.
Oh man, what else we have on there? The customs inspector, when he's on his investigation, he gets stopped by security, and just the way he plays that up, and he's just like, "Do you have a match?"
Yeah.
And then, is there a problem? Yeah, you're the fucking problem. Then he goes in. He's talking to everybody about, taxes and everything. A black man like myself, like you can't get away with jokes like that anymore.
Like, this man gave me a match, for crying out loud. He goes,
you gave him a match?
You gave him a match?
Yeah, I think we've all seen this movie a couple of times.
Right.
Was it Whose Porsche's Parked Outside?
Yeah.
The banana in the tailpipe.
You're not gonna fall for the banana in the tailpipe. You got to say it more.
Sound more natural.
Hey man, we're not gonna fall for the banana.
Banana in the tailpipe.
You've been hanging around with this guy too long.
How did this not wind up on our quotable movies list?
Right.
I can't believe it. This whole episode is just about us quoting this film.
Oh my god.
Oh, and who does he get the bananas from? A very young actor.
A very young Damon Wayans, is it not?
Yes.
Or is it Marlon?
Oh shit! Yeah,
it's Damon Wayans.
I thought it was
Damon
Wayans.
Yes.
Yeah. and again, who would have thought? Like it's just kind of like nobody in this movie is just playing themselves. You know what I mean? Everyone is. It's like they came up with the best character because Damon Wayans is playing this little light and loafers guy, whatever. Wow,
go on, take those bananas.
you go on, take those bananas. like why? Why would it occur to anybody to play it that way? But it's perfect. It fits so well.
It's the same with Paul Reiser as Axel's partner back home.
Yes.
I mean, just playing it as the most neurotic cop on the force, and the line that always gets me with him is, "This is not my locker."
This is not my locker. Oh my God. Yeah. Seriously. I mean, honestly, everybody in this movie is great.
How about the climax of the film?
This shootout is one that I rewatch on YouTube, like one of those movie scenes that I just really like and go back and revisit. Like we spoke about the hat scene from Thomas Crown Affair. The shootout from Beverly Hills Cop is another one that I just go back and watch because it's fun, it's tense, it's exciting. There's some comic relief to it, and the way it's scored is just spectacular.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the climax to this is just perfect. Again, all the plot points sort of merge together at the same time. It's just great. Really well done. I mean, seriously, when you think about it, the plot points, it's Victor Maitland has Jenny and he takes her, Billy and Taggart, they all come and show up at the same time. So it's Bogomil shows up. Like you said, like all of the plot points come together. I think a lot of movies forget to do that.
Yes.
Like a lot of movies will just like, oh yeah, the hero went off and did the thing and saved the day and now we're done. But no, you have to tie all of the plot elements together into the finale, and this one just does that perfectly. And again, as a classic shootout, it's just great.
Well, there aren't too many plot points, like too many disparate subplots. It's revenge, cocaine, Jenny gets kidnapped, all converging. It's so simple. I mean, it is a Swiss watch of a plot, and I think that's one of the reasons why it works. There's no thread left unpulled. Everything is all there, all laid out for us neatly.
But
tied
I
up
totally
in a
agree.
bow.
But even just like the simple things of like Taggart and Billy being there, and they're kind of like you said, they're talking, and like Billy gets a moment where police drop your weapons, and it's like, way to go, Billy, that kind of stuff. Like he gets a moment too because he's kind of been the underdog throughout the whole thing. So like all that kind of stuff, like it just all fits.
Each character.
And Rosewood is hysterical in that scene too. Where he's sitting there, they're getting shot. Police freeze! Everybody starts shooting at him. He drops down. Everything's happening. And then it cuts back to him and Taggart pinned down. He's like, "Hey, you know what I keep thinking of? Butch Cassidy." Like, really? That's what you're thinking of right now?
Right.
And then at the end of it, when all the other police show up, he pops back up with his badge, and it's fucking hysterical. It repeats the same line, but this time it works out for it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Every character, or at least every Beverly Hills character, gets a moment of growth. Billy becomes a much more self-assured detective with a little bit more of experience under his belt. Taggart, who was the by-the-book guy, is now willing to like help Bogomil and Foley cover up to the chief of police. He's not gonna, he exposed actual bullshittery. He's not doing it this time. He's going along with Bogomil's bullshit story, and then Bogomil, of course, shows us who he was all along, which is like this real veteran, gifted cop.
I've nothing to say to you.
How you doing? You guys don't know nothing about nothing, do you? You just got your badges and your guns and you're on the job, right? Make sure we get the right drinks, because if I drink club soda, I'll throw up. This is the cleanest and nicest police car I've ever been in my life. This thing's nicer than my apartment.
Retrospect, you are the pride of your department in Detroit.
I will give you my one complaint about, and this is not my Who Asked You, in that final sequence. The only thing I didn't like, so you got Victor Maitland, and he's holding Jenny hostage. She elbows him, she escapes, and then you have Foley and Bogomil shooting at Victor Maitland over Foley's head. As a gun guy, I hated that. Oh, like that is like blue on blue, huge risk, something you just do not do. Just stacked up over each other. I was like, no. I mean, 80s action movie, sure, makes it look cool. They're both shooting them at the same time. It's a very cool camera angle and all, but just like what it actually is, I'm like, oh no.
That's a really good point, because one of the notes that I did write down was as a positive for this movie is how Eddie Murphy handles firearms. He looks like a police officer. Like his trigger discipline is good. His reloads are clean. Like he doesn't blink when he shoots. Like he's got a really nice high tight grip. Eddie Murphy's firearms handling in this movie is pretty good.
He looks like an 80s police officer. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. We are in an 80s movie, but you're right. That is something that it is not a good idea to shoot over your buddy's head.
Right.
Good point. Good point.
Safety first, ladies and gentlemen. Safety
always.
It seems painfully obvious you haven't the slightest idea who you're dealing with.
I know what y'all think I am, giving me some kind of food. Hurry up, quicker!
Crawl back to your little stone in Detroit before you get squashed.
All right, gentlemen, it's time to score this guy. Who wants to go first?
I'm really struggling to come up with something that I don't like about this movie other than the little tiny nitpicks. So I think this might be my first 10 out of 10 that we've reviewed.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I had a hunch. I was honestly saying to myself, I said this might be where we all have to go with 10 because this is a pretty classic, timeless movie and it's pretty infallible. So, Raymond, what do you got?
I can't do 10. This is one of my favorite movies ever. I'm reserving 10 for something really, really special. But this is definitely in the 9s for me. And I can't tell you what I want to do after the decimal point, so I'm not going to. I'm going to give it a solid 9.
It's the first time you've given us a whole number.
I know, and I hate to do it, but and I want to rank it higher. I just can't. I can't. 9.5. 9.5.
9.5. Okay. Almost got ready to round to a whole number, but
but
not this time. Not this time.
Kyle. I'm gonna go with you. I agree. I feel like this one really does. I kind of feel like you can't argue with the idea of giving this guy a 10 because it's, again, it is a classic film. Everything about this is firing on all cylinders. All of the actors in it are probably at the height of their game. It's frankly pretty perfectly written. I don't think I can find a flaw in it. I mean, again, is this Gone with the Wind? Is it Citizen Kane? No, but still, I can't find a real serious flaw with this film. So, yeah, 10 for me.
And it doesn't need to be a capital F film to be a 10. But one of the things about this movie is anybody I've ever shown it to has liked it. I've never watched this movie with somebody who says like, "Oh, that wasn't very good." Everyone loves this one universally.
Yeah, agreed.
That means something.
For your consideration, who wants to go first?
I'll go since I scored it first. I'm going to go with Martin Brest, the director of this movie, because every sequel to this movie was directed by somebody different, and each director brought their own style, and one is never quite like the other, and this one is the ultimate one, and I think that's down to his style, and I like that director. The only other movie that comes to mind off the top of my head that he did is Midnight Run, and that's another movie just like this one where everything is just flawless and it's hilarious and the dialogue is very quick and witty and improv-y. So I think Martin Brest has to be the secret sauce that makes this movie as good as it is.
Yeah, I will echo that. I totally agree with that. You know, and it's funny, Midnight Run to me kind of almost feels like it could live in the same universe as Beverly Hills Cop.
I feel the exact same way.
Right?
I think that exists in the Beverly Hills Cop shared universe.
Right. Different part of the world, but it feels, it does. It's funny. The other thing, by the way, the other thing that he did that I think is worth getting a nod is Scent of a Woman.
Oh, yeah, great film.
Yeah, that's another great one. So, yeah, he is pretty top notch.
All right, so for me, this is a time capsule of the 80s. I'm an 80s child, so between the music, comedy style, the action sequences, the fashion, it's classic Eddie Murphy. That's what does it for me. It's not just nostalgic, but it just sums up everything from my childhood and my generation all in one film for a specific genre that I love.
That's a good one. I mean, honestly, I don't know why you're so hesitant for that. That's a pretty good way to put it.
Incidentally, have you noticed there is a wave now of 80s nostalgia. The 80s are cool again for whatever reason, whether it's fashion, film, music. We're rediscovering the 80s and how much fun they were.
Hey man, what's old
Not
is
that
new. It
I don't
happens
remember
all the
too much
time.
of the 80s, but little tiny piece.
No, I totally agree. I think there's there's a lot of nostalgia for the 80s these days. I almost feel like this is kind of a layup, but I'm gonna just give it to Eddie Murphy because I feel like I mean, again, I know I'm basically stating the very obvious, but his contribution to this film, his extremely unique style, a sense of humor, etc., just goes with this film perfectly. I mean, it's funny. Whenever I watch this, it's almost like every so often, like I'll have a moment where I realize he's literally wearing the same clothes like the entire movie. You know what I mean? And it's like I actually I don't know if it's exactly the same. I think they changed this like once or twice, but it's basically the same. But I'm saying like but it takes nothing. Basically, that's what I'm saying. Like he just shows up. He just shows up and does his thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like it doesn't feel like he's playing a character exactly. It just feels like he's doing, kind of just playing it his own way. And yeah, I don't know. It just everything about it works perfectly. And it's not. If you're ever wondering how he had such an illustrious career from this, just watch the movie, and it's like there you go. It's right there. You know. So yeah, I mean he is just sort of perfect in this.
He's just riffing.
Exactly.
And literally, when he shows up in Beverly Hills, he doesn't have any baggage. He has a small little bag. So he's bringing no baggage to this. He's just riffing.
All right. Who asked you? Who's got a gripe here? I know this is tricky, but
it's got to be Ray because I gave this movie a 10.
All right. So my Who Asked You is kind of going to bounce right off my For Your Consideration. It's really hard for me because I love the film so much. But like I said, I'm a child of the 80s. This is a very 80s movie for me. I still listen to Huey Lewis in the News. I play Nintendo games on an emulator. I don't know that you can bring a younger audience and have them appreciate those nuances. They could appreciate maybe the story and the action and the comedy, but even the comedy might be a little iffy if you have like a sensitive audience. So for me, that's kind of the only thing that I have an issue with is introducing it to a younger crowd. Some of them might get it, some might not. Some might think it's too racy. They might not get that type of humor. I mean, we all like Mel Brooks, but you can't get away with Mel Brooks now. So it's almost on that kind of level of what's the word I'm looking for?
Political incorrectness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
It should be interesting to see when your daughter is a little bit older and you do show her this movie, what her reaction will be. And that'll be a nice focus group of the next generation experiencing Beverly Hills Cop.
Mine is this is sort of a cop-out one. I know I said that before. My gripe is that, honestly, this film is just too damn perfect. And why is that a problem? Well, it doesn't become a problem until you get to the sequels, which we will talk about. But I feel that once they get to the sequels, they are trying really hard to pluck elements from this first one to kind of recycle and do again. And I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't fit there. It works here perfectly. But when you try to jam it into other scenarios, it doesn't quite work. So yeah, I kind of feel like in some ways this film is a victim of its own success when it comes to the sequels. But again, we will talk about those because we are going to review all four, right? Four of these to talk about. Yeah. So we will get there.
That's a fair
I
criticism.
completely agree with you. And I think I'll harken back to your Ghostbusters review where you said the first one caught
lightning in a bottle, and they just tried to do it ever since, and it's just something you can't redo.
Yeah, I had the same exact Who Asked You about Ocean's 11, that the first one was too good and too slick, that a sequel was a foregone conclusion, and the sequels are terrible. So
yeah. I mean, I would not say that about the sequels here. I think
I agree.
I think that this film is probably again, certain properties, you look at the you look at the first one and you say, okay, but could you make more of those? I think here you could. I think The Adventures of Axel Foley could have continued and did, and again we'll talk about that. So it's not like it's not like they were trying to bleed this thing dry but wasn't really, perfect fodder for sequels. But yeah, when you're trying to pluck certain things out, it doesn't really fly.
I just want to get a suite at the Beverly Palm Hotel for $235. That's something to miss about
right? Oh my! Wow, yeah, good point there. Good point. I wish I could get a hotel anywhere for that cheap these days.
You're not staying at that's Holiday Inn money.
Seriously, you're not kidding.
Cover me. Police! You're all under arrest!
You do that again, I'll shoot you myself.
Eddie Murphy, Beverly Hills Cop.
Gentlemen, I think that is Beverly Hills Cop. Well done. And yeah, like I said, we will be back to talk about Beverly Hills Cop 2 next time, which I'm actually looking forward to. In fact, maybe even more than this one, because I feel like this one, as we've been saying, it's so flawless that it's hard to nitpick. But I feel like 2 kind of leaves us a little room to talk about some of the choices they made. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Me too. I don't watch it anywhere nearly as often as the first one, so
yeah,
it's a little bit fresher watching it, and it's still a good movie.
Yeah, I will have to give 2 another watch before we get to it.
Absolutely.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much as always.
Cheers.
Have a good night.
Thanks for listening to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe, Kyle, and Ray. Join us here every Thursday for a new episode. You can also find our episodes on our YouTube channel. Check the link in the description. All clips in this podcast are for commentary and critique and are considered fair use. No copyright infringement is intended.
And then another